The moment a man decides he's done, not angry, not dramatic, just done, something begins to happen inside him that nobody warned him about. And if you've been through relationship disappointment, if you've given everything you had and still walked away with nothing but exhaustion, then what I'm about to tell you is going to feel uncomfortably familiar. Because the world has a story it wants to tell about you. It says you're broken. It says you'll regret this. It says the loneliness is coming and it will destroy you. But here's what that story always leaves out, and this is the part they never talk about. The man who walks away doesn't fall apart. He transforms, quietly, completely, in ways that even he doesn't see coming. The first thing that changes isn't something you can see in the mirror. You won't notice it for weeks, but your body notices it immediately. Every relationship that cost you your peace, every argument that came from nowhere, every night you laid awake trying to figure out what you did wrong, every morning you woke up already tense, all of that was running a quiet tax on your nervous system. And you didn't even know how heavy it was until it was gone. Sleep gets deeper. The background noise in your head starts to quiet. There's a stillness in your home that used to feel like loneliness but starts to feel like something else entirely. Like recovery. Your body was holding tension you had normalized, and the moment the source of that tension disappears, the relief is physical. That's not numbness, that's your system finally exhaling. But here's where it gets interesting, because the second change is one most men don't expect, and almost none of them talk about. When you stop spending your time performing for someone, planning around her schedule, managing her expectations, bracing for her reactions, you suddenly have time, real time. Not just hours, mental space, creative space, the kind of quiet where your own thoughts can finally surface. At first it feels uncomfortable, almost suspicious. You keep waiting for the interruption that never comes. And then one day you sit down and do something purely because you want to, not to impress anyone, not to become more attractive or more interesting or more acceptable, just because it's yours, and something clicks back into place that you didn't even realize had been switched off. And this leads directly into the third change, which is the one that will make people who knew you before barely recognize you. When you were in the cycle of dating and disappointing and trying again, you were performing, constantly, softening your opinions, monitoring your words, shrinking the parts of yourself that didn't seem to land well. You did it so naturally that you forgot it was happening. But when the audience disappears, when there's no one left to perform for, something strange happens. You start to hear yourself think again. Your actual opinions resurface, the things you genuinely like, the way you actually want to live, the kind of person you actually are underneath all the adaptation. You stop becoming what you thought was needed. You start becoming what was always there. And the man that emerges from that process is more grounded, more direct, and more real than the version that was endlessly trying to be enough. Now pay attention here, because this next change is the one people least expect and most misunderstand. When the pursuit ends, money follows mission for the first time in years. Think about how much of your financial life was shaped by the relationship, or the hope of one, the dinners designed to impress, the things you bought to signal value, the choices you made based on someone else's comfort or proximity. When that stops, the picture clarifies almost immediately. You see where the money was actually going, and you redirect it toward your health, your future, skills that compound, a life built to last rather than built to be chosen. Men who go through this process describe a financial awakening that feels almost too simple. They weren't broke. They were just spending on the wrong things for the wrong reasons. And once those reasons are gone, the money starts working for you instead of against you. But here is where the story takes a turn that almost no one sees coming, because the fifth change isn't about money or time or sleep. It's about the people you keep. When romantic pursuit stops being the center of your social life, something reorganizes. You stop going places because you hope something will happen. You stop maintaining connections that were never really about you. And the friendships that were always there, the ones that got deprioritized every time a relationship came along, those start to deepen. You find your real circle, not a large one, a real one. The kind of friendship built on respect and shared purpose rather than proximity. And you discover something that should have been obvious but somehow wasn't, that a small group of people who genuinely see you is worth more than a crowd of people you were performing for. The sixth change is quieter, but it's the one that stays with you forever. After enough disappointment, after enough giving and compromising and tolerating things you knew weren't right, something firms up inside you. Not as bitterness, not as walls, as standards. Your actual standards. Not the ones you described on a first date, the lived ones. The ones that come from knowing exactly what you will and will not accept anymore. And you become, without announcing it, without performing it, quietly, unmovably self-respecting. You don't chase. You don't explain yourself. You don't edit yourself to be more palatable. You simply know what you're worth, and you're no longer available to accept less. The people who knew you before won't always understand this version of you, but the right people, the rare ones, will recognize it immediately. And now we arrive at the seventh change, the one that reframes everything that came before it, the one that makes the disappointment, all of it, even the worst of it, make a kind of sense. From the time you were young, you were told that what was missing from your life was a relationship, that love was the destination, that everything else, the work, the growth, the becoming, was just the road to being chosen. So you pursued, and you gave, and you were disappointed. And then one day, in the quiet that followed, you stumbled into something you weren't looking for. Yourself, not the performed version, not the version built to be accepted, the actual one, with real desires, real direction, a real sense of what a meaningful life looks like for you specifically. And you realize, slowly, then all at once, that the hunger you were trying to feed with relationship after relationship was never really about another person. It was about purpose, identity, the feeling of a life that was actually yours. The relationship was never the destination. It was a detour from the work of becoming. And now that you've found yourself, now that you've stopped outsourcing your wholeness to someone else, everything looks different. You're not waiting to be completed. You're already complete. And a man who is already complete, who doesn't need you, but genuinely chooses you, that is a different man entirely from the one who was drowning in the chase. That is the man disappointment quietly built. And the most remarkable thing about him is this: he isn't angry about what it cost him, because he can finally see exactly what it gave him.